Noel,
Tim.
thank you for coming on. Thank you for having me up here in Brisbane. It's an absolute pleasure to be visiting your son and be able to talk to you as well. It's a privilege. Thank you.
Welcome to our great Brisbane weather.
You put a day on for me, I must say.
We do our best.
Yeah. You've helped, I'm going to read off the back of the book, you've spent a lifetime in personal finance and changed tens of thousands of lives with easy to understand, effective strategies for success. The thing I love about that is easy to understand. And I want to ask the question to start with. When it comes to money, so many people overcomplicate it. So many people get bored by it. How important has it been to use the title Money Made Simple?
Well, I think it is simple, but so many people, when the book came out, said making money made easy. And easy and simple are different. And the first principle is you spend less than you earn. And that's simple as a concept, but many people find that incredibly difficult with all the temptations we now have, things like Afterpay and credit cards and things.
My dad used to tell me someone could earn $1 million but spend $900,990 versus someone could earn $60,000 and only spend $20,000. And who's better off?
Well, I always say that a part of all you earn is yours to keep. Because if you don't keep any, my basic premise is that you don't spend all that you earn, and with that surplus, you're building a pile of investment capital. And that will get bigger and bigger as time goes by. And thanks to the magic of compound interest, that you will reach a stage in maybe 10, 20, 30 or 40 years when it's growing quicker than you could ever add to it. And then you've got your money doing the work instead of you doing the work. But most people, 80% of people never get to that stage because they always spend more than they earn. If you spend more than you earn, you're mortgaging future income to pay today's dollars. And that means that your future income is diminished. So it's harder to live because you don't have as much because you're paying it back. And it's impossible to accumulate.
So many people are tempted when their paycheck comes in to look at that money and go, I can go buy, me for example, I could go buy another camera. I'd love to have that same camera over here as well, right? I could go buy this. I could buy flights to Perth now because I really want to go. They're tempted to spend that money when it comes in. And I think that's where people go wrong, isn't it?
Well, the whole of social media and the advertisers is to make you spend. I mean, there's now ads where you can get your pay in advance before you get it. There's an ad, there's a guy and a girl in a restaurant and he hasn't got the money and she wants lobster. Up comes the good fairy, have your lobster now, get your pay right away. He goes to his phone, he taps the app, and now the pay is in his bank account straight away. So he's just mortgaged next week's pay for a lobster. And then, and with all these phone apps now, it's so simple. And everyone offers you Afterpay. Afterpay means you can't pay it now. You're going to pay it out of future pay packets. Well, how can you possibly save money out of future pay packets when you're using them to pay back past expenses? It's just crazy.
Prime example, I had to buy this is a new laptop. It's got some scuffs on it because of, put it in my bag, but I bought it 2 days ago. It doesn't look like it. I needed that because 3 days out of my business without being able to work is costly. What I could have done was put it on Afterpay. Could have easily put it on Afterpay. But I didn't do that because my dad always would say, if you don't have the money to buy something, don't buy it. And instead, I've needed this for about 3-4 weeks. I just paid cash. with that laptop.
Yes, but I think if you need something and it can save money, there's a famous saying, don't ask what it costs, ask what it's worth. If you need that now, and Afterpay lets you pay it back over 8 weeks, I've got no trouble with that because that's a one-off thing. But if your whole life begins to evolve around Afterpay, then you're in the habit of spending more than you earn.
And that's where people get sunk by debt and credit card debt and 20% interest, because it's not about buying what you need, they're buying what they want.
Exactly. And I've got no trouble with a young person buying a motor car. But as I say, that if you pay it back over 12 months, the interest is very small. What you don't want is 7 years to buy the car, because all through that, you owe more than the car's worth.
Credit cards, friend or foe? I think that's a...
Credit cards. Well, we're back in this whole thing about spending more than you earn. If you exist on credit cards, you're mortgaging future income. That's why I think the debit card is much simpler, because with the debit card, you can't get into debt. You know, everyone has the same thing. When the credit card statement comes, what's your reaction? God, I don't believe this. It can't be that much. How could all those tiny transactions get to this? And you add them up, and sure enough, there they are. But that works in the reverse. If you start saving things in something like RAIZ, R-A-I-Z, then they will build up. So just as the credit card debts build up, so your saving starts to build up. It's little things make the difference.
And that's really interesting, because I was shocked. I've recently bought I have a credit card. It only has a $2,000 limit. And I've done it because I'm traveling a lot now, and the cash flow of that, and look, I'm a millennial, so I'm interested in shiny points and that type of thing, right? We can talk about that. But
don't label yourself, Tim.
Yeah, fair point.
But go on, yeah.
Yeah. I got my first bill, I got my first statement. I maxed out this credit card because I've been doing a lot of travel.
Right.
So about $1,900. I do have the cash because, again, my dad taught me if you don't have the money, don't pay for it. I was absolutely shocked that on $2,000, the minimum repayment on that was only $49.
And that's what they want to hit you with. They want you to make the minimum payment, so you'll be paying interest at 20% from the date of those purchases. And if you don't pay it on time, the whole thing on time, it just grows and grows. So instead of a nice chunk of money compounding for you, it's a big debt working against you.
Yeah. And that's robbing your future self, isn't it?
It's spending your future. Yes.
James said one of the best lessons that you've guided him through is compound interest.
Yes.
Now, I know it's maybe boring to answer what is compound interest, but my question would be, what is the power of compound interest? And for someone who doesn't know what it is, why should they understand it?
Well, one of the great ironies of life is all things take time. If you want a great big oak tree, it might take 100 years to grow. Compounding is very slow to start. And I tell the story of the lily in the pond. A lily in the pond starts as a tiny speck and doubles every day and fills the pond in 10 days. How long to go from half, quarter full to full? 2 days. It's quarter full to half on the 9th and half full to full on the 10th. Now, after 10 days of that lily pond, which your investing career, the time you've got, if you had to stop on the 8th day because you needed the money, you've lost 3/4 of what you could have had. See, compounding grows faster and faster. Every time something doubles, there's more money in the last double than all the previous doubles. 100,000, 200,000, 400, 800, 1.6 million. Every time your money doubles, that's more than all the previous doubles. That's why the two essential elements of compounding are rate of return and time. Now, we use the rule of 72, and that says you take the number 72, divide by the rate you are looking for, and that's how long to double. If you can achieve 9%, divide 72 by 9, every 8 years your money will double. If you get 6%, dividing the 72, it's 12. So now it's doubling every 12 years, not 8 years. So the thing about compounding, because it's so slow to start, people think it's not worth it. But gee, 5 years pass, 10 years pass, all of a sudden, it's really starting to go. But so many people, it's not worth doing. What's $1,000? I'll spend it on something else. I'll start next week. It's one of the great things. I'll start next week. It's not working, You've got to stick with this stuff. It's like a career. It's like your golf game, your savings game, learning about photography. You learn as you learn more and more. It doesn't go like that.
You don't earn millions of dollars overnight.
Of course you don't. Of course you don't.
Why do people lack that patience? Why do people fall for the get-rich-quick schemes? Why do they want it now and not?
Well, don't forget that we are wired as humans to 100,000 years ago, or 10,000 years ago, when our sole focus was survival. I want enough food to get me through the day. If I see the tiger coming, I'll run away. We're not geared for long term. And, the advertising plays on this. The 14-day diet plan. Get 100 investment homes on $2,000 down in a year. Take 10 shots off your golf handicap in 7 days.
I'd love to do that.
I know. It's all designed to make it look easy and get you in. But nothing's that simple. Nothing is that simple. Everything worthwhile takes time and perseverance. And I always say that 10% make it and 90% don't. Because the 10% keep on going. That's the secret.
What's the difference in someone who keeps on going? What is the thing inside them, or they've learnt it, or it's innately, it's maybe not even a learned thing? What have you noticed over the time, or that strings all those people together as a common?
You need focus, and focus comes from having a goal. Now, if my goal is to save enough money for a house deposit, then that's my goal. I want to save 20 grand or 50 grand for a house deposit. Someone says, let's go and have a big night at the pub. Well, that takes me from my focus of my house deposit. I won't do that. If my goal's to get fit, then when I'm given a great big plate of junk food, well, sorry, that doesn't match the goals. So it's the goals that drive you. The goals must be so strong you do anything to make sure that you stay on track. Now, we all get off track. We're not perfect. But at least if you've got a goal, and every night when you go to bed, you think, how did I go with my goals? And some days better than others. At least you're moving forward.
It's very interesting. So I've decided I'm proposing to my girlfriend this year.
Good stuff.
We've even gone and bought a ring.
I thought it was supposed to be a surprise.
She found out.
Of course, they always found out.
Yeah.
Women are very smart.
Yeah. Yeah. She found out. And with that comes a wedding, comes inviting guests, comes buying a dress, me a suit, a honeymoon. I could look at all of those expenses coming up and get quite anxious.
The average wedding in Australia, people spend $35,000 on the average wedding. That's a big part of a house deposit. So once again, you've got to say, well, what's important? If I want the big $35,000 wedding, that's my choice. But what am I giving up for that? Does it mean I'll be waiting 5 more years to buy a house? That could, like, we bought a block of land in a nice area in 1975 for $35,000 for 4 hectares. There were 3 blocks. And that was worth millions later. The guy next to me sold it for 35 grand to give his daughter a 21st birthday present. That cost the family $2 or $3 million bucks. I mean, you don't need to spend money on a wedding. I mean, you could have a nice wedding at home in the back garden. You don't need a $10,000 Dior dress, but that's your choice. And I'm not saying what your choice ought to be, but you can choose to have a cheap wedding and still be just as good.
And I think there's a statistic around the fact that the more money you spend on a wedding, the more likely you are to actually have an unsuccessful marriage. And the thing that is interesting about that is the things that actually matter, because couples fight about money, the things that actually matter as a couple is building a life and a future together for you as a couple and your family.
Yes, but the essence of a couple is having compatible values. Now, if I meet a chick and I'm trying to get us a house and she says, no, I want the $35,000 wedding and the trip overseas and 6 bridesmaids and I pay for their dresses and their shoes, you go on, well, then you've got, to me, a value problem. And to me, that's a warning signal. If that's the kind of issues, well, maybe I've got to think about this. Because you don't want to be with a partner with different values.
It's very interesting because I've floated this idea to Lisa and I've said, would you want to get married first or do you want to buy a property first?
That's a good one.
Yeah. I'm leaning towards property, but as soon as I say that, it gets shut down really quickly. But then she comes back and says, and this is where values align, she goes, well, what if we have a small wedding and then use the leftover money on the house deposit and then have 10 years later have re-vow saying, sorry, the word's not coming to me, but recommitment. So, and that could be a big, based on earning the money from investment property. Right?
It need to be one or the other. I mean, as you say, you can have a small wedding now, and then that could make her feel secure. And still have a plan and say, okay, we won't spend 30 grand on the wedding. That'll be for the house deposit. It needn't be one or the other.
You can have both if you do it correctly.
If you do it right, I think the main thing is to share your values. And if someone hasn't got compatible values, then I suggest that that's a big red flag.
I'm happy because I'm thinking in my head, I think she does.
That's great.
Yeah.
There is nothing better than a great relationship. Then when you have kids, grandkids, it's fabulous, Like all their kids have got a great work ethic. And that's why we've helped them with their houses. If they were bad money people, I wouldn't give them anything. Because help should be a hand up, it shouldn't be a handout. I don't give kids handouts, but I'm happy to give them hand ups if they're good kids.
Can you explain? I'm actually really interested to get insight. Because money, from the age of 35, you read Think and Grow Rich, and then money became...
Actually 33.
33?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I read in your book. Yeah.
That's all right. Maybe I said 35.
Yeah.
It was around about 33, 35.
Yeah, all good. So because you learn about money in those formative years of becoming who you are, what are the cool things that you did when James was growing up and your other kids to teach them about the value of money and interest? And what are some really cool tips for parents? I guess maybe this is me. I'll listen back to this in 5 years' time as well, to teach your kids the value of money.
But Think and Grow Rich is not about money.
Oh no, I just said
it's the 13 principles, and the first is desire. Now, if you ain't got desire, I can't give it to you. We always say you hire attitude and train skills. You never high skills and get attitude, because the attitude's crap, it'll stay crap. So the first is desire, is the mastermind group. That means you surround yourself with like people who can help you. As far as the money things, well, I guess our children saw us being prudent. I mean, we never wasted money. We always made them earn their pocket money and stuff. When we were growing up, the kids had jobs. I mean, I sell books online, and I was selling audio tapes then. The kids would pack audio tapes, and my son Mark would even subcontract to his mates. So he made more money. Good. They pick it up. And I think we've always had a rule too, you can't watch the TV from the dinner table. The dinner table has always been a place to talk and eat, never to sit there and watching television. And in not one of my kids' houses can you see the TV set from the dinner table. And I think that's fantastic.
Why?
Well, then you're focused on a family. See, family should be together, help each other, teach each other. You shouldn't be sitting around like dodos, playing on your phones or watching the TV. And most of the TV's crap anyway.
People complain about the quality of shows on Netflix, even though there's thousands of shows.
Well, there's thousands of channels, but most of them don't interest me, to be honest. You know, as Jim Rohn said once, what's a TV set cost? Probably $5,000 a month. In the time you waste watching TV, that could be put to better use.
What about someone who gets defensive over, well, that's my downtime?
Look, I'm great with that. If you got downtime, that's good. The first thing is you establish your goals. And as long as your behaviour matches your goals, it shouldn't be a problem. I mean, if my goal was to get a PhD or an MBA or something, sure have the downtime. But don't be watching some junk on TV when you should be doing an assignment. And I always studied from when I got married the first time I was 23. I'd study every night because I was in the bank. I was doing banker studies, but I would jog from 7 to 7:30 to the exercise and the energy. And I'd come back, have a shower, and I was right to go then.
How do you think that's helped you later on in life?
As I said, I've got goals. I've still got goals. I know what's important to me. And I had a train in October 85. I was at a 5-day course whereby I was asked to say what they would say about you on your funeral. What's your purpose? And the purpose of that was to help you find your life purpose. And it came to me like a flash that my life's purpose is to help ordinary people about finance. And that was 85, that's about a long time ago. 40 years or something, wasn't it? Yeah, a long time ago. And that's been my goal ever since. And I get emails, I get about 50 emails a day. At least one always says, your books have changed my life. And they ask me questions and I try and solve them and help them. And by helping them, then I get material from my paper columns. I'm in nearly every paper in the country. I'm in so many, I don't know where I am. Someone says, I saw you in the Ipswich Times or the Redland Bay Courier or the Blue Mountains Gazette or the Hawkesbury or something, you know, everywhere. And that's the information I'm giving back to people. And the more you give back, the more you get back. The more you give, the more you get. There's no doubt about that.
Does that mean in terms of time, resources, skill set, knowledge, finances, all of the above?
Well, I guess I love it. I mean, I get up and I love to look at the inbox. And sometimes I think, oh my God, there's so many emails here. How am I going to handle them? You know, then I might get a bit tense. But I just love doing it. And once you track on your purpose, to me, the major purpose is to give back. I read once you should always try and give someone a bit of a leg up every day. I mean, we were at a place down the coast on the weekend. There was a young kid in the restaurant serving. She was 12. school kid, because you can't get waiters now. And I had a chat to her. I said, "You're doing a great job." You know, I often carry books. I love to give people books because no one's ever done that for them. All of a sudden, someone says, "Here's a book," and I go, "Wow, nobody's ever done that for me before."
A real estate agent that I had on one of my very early episodes, after the episode, he mailed me a physical copy of How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yep.
Great book. The awesome thing about that was I read it and I went, this is a reminder of what I'm doing is correct. But
yes.
it's also the book, because if you read a self-development book and it's all new and wonderful and fantastic to you, then you're in more trouble than you actually think.
Look, I don't think there's anything new under the sun. You get back to the basics. The slight edge I love, but that's basically about it's little things that make the difference. You know, it's really about you finding a purpose, becoming the kind of person who gives back to the universe, who doesn't take from the universe. The more you try to take back, the less the universe will give you. That's one of the great things about Think and Grow Rich, was this thing about the universe.
I think that's actually, I love the idea of, almost ending on that note. That was really good. I want to do some quick fire questions for you.
Am I finished? That went quick.
Yeah.
And you were happy with that?
Oh, I'm happy, yeah. I got some quick questions for you, though.
Am I as good as James?
Yeah.
Am I better than James?
Almost better.
I'm better than James. Hear that, James?
Different style. Different style.
He'd be more serious than me, I think.
Yeah. What's it like watching James's success? You see him now applying your principles in his personal life, but you also see him, you know, I actually noticed on the cover here, and I might just hold this up so I can zoom in. On the cover here, you've got your books and you've written a book with him.
Yeah.
But what's it like watching James do what he does?
Look, when I read Think and Grow Rich, I made two promises. One, I'd spend the rest of my life promulgating the principles. And second, I would start my own business within 100 days. It took me 120 days, but I did it. And I have spent the rest of my life promulgating the principles. And I'm thrilled beyond words that James has taken up the mantle. He's now the foremost authority on Napoleon Hill in the world. When I see his Mental Dynamite book, you know, authors, Andrew Carnegie, Napoleon Hill and James Whittaker, he's up there with Andrew Carnegie and Napoleon Hill. Wow. So I'm so proud of James. It's just extraordinary for me.
And James has been amazing enough to help me and guide me.
Yeah, well, James, again, he gives back. James gives back, you know. And I'm incredibly proud of James. I couldn't say it loudly enough.
And I just want to thank you for raising someone with that mentality. He's completely changed the direction of my life.
That's great.
12 months ago, I came into the Whamley mastermind, and he said to me as I was signing up, he said, "Tim, you're thinking about problems in the terms of hundreds and thousands. I don't want you thinking about problems in terms of thousands of dollars. I want you to think about problems in terms of, more than that. Expand your horizons. It's more, there's more available to you than you actually think." And that bit of advice was just game changing. He put a challenge to me. I think the highest month that I ever had in terms of earning income was about $5,000 a month.
Right.
At that stage.
Right.
James then said, the mastermind is going to be X. And I looked at my bank account and I didn't have X in the bank account. And I just picked up the phone and started calling. I love sales. Picked up the phone and started calling. By the end of that month, I did my first $10,000 a month.
Wow. How good is that?
Yeah. and was able to pay for the mastermind in full rather than doing it on the month by month, because James said, no, it's too expensive if you do it month by month.
Yeah. As a tax deduction too.
Yeah.
It's always nice to get a tax deduction.
Well, that was the other, because again, him knowing what you do, he said, Tim, you know, pay for it at the start of this financial year. Because you're going to need the tax deduction.
Exactly.
Because if you learn the lessons that I'm going to teach you, you're going to need the tax deduction.
That's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I want to thank you for...
Well, to me, I think the best feeling is changing someone's life. I mean, it's well known if you buy a Ferrari, a Maserati, you buy a yacht, it's fun for a month and then it's another thing you've got. But to be giving back and changing life, that's where the real satisfaction comes from. There is no happiness in acquiring possessions. The happiness is contributing and helping other people.
What's been your most impactful giving moment that's happened? And I know that's going to be a really hard question to answer, so I apologise in advance.
I think the one that I remember most is I'm walking down Queen Street, Brisbane, and I might get emotional about this, and the guy comes up in a business suit, and he comes up and shakes my hand and hugs me, which was a bit funny, and he said, Noel, I want to thank you. I bought your book when I was broke. He said, now I'm a millionaire. I bought my mother a house. My mother and I are so grateful to you. Isn't that amazing? You know. Another one, I was in the Four Seasons in Sydney. And the guy at reception said, you gave me a book 20 years ago when I was working at the another one of the hotels in Sydney. He said, I followed you 10 steps to $1 million. He said, I've still got it pinned up on my bedroom and I've got to the million. I mean, it's just overwhelming. Because it's not difficult. I'm not teaching hieroglyphics or learning to play golf at a high level or to be an orchestra conductor. It's just the simple stuff. That's all it is.
And it's one of those things that when it's brought back to the basics, then and I think that's why you've impacted so many lives. Yeah. Someone who's broke, that guy bought a book, they're so anxious and worried and where's the next paycheck coming from? Yeah. If you explained money in complicated terms, he'd never put that into action, would he?
Exactly. But see, a lot of people don't. A lot of people mean to. And I've got a test. I give someone a book. We get tradies, people. I'm always giving out books. I love doing it. See them in 6 months. How's the book going? Haven't got around to reading it yet. Okay, you know. I said, you can read a page a night. I must start doing that. So some people are like kelpies. I'm loving it. Other people, well, haven't got around to it yet, or I'm busy. And that's their life story.
You'll either buy into excuse and never do anything or figure out a way to do it and push through and become successful.
Yeah, again, it's got to be your goal. There's a famous saying by Charlie Tremendous Jones, where you'll be in 5 years depends on the people you meet and the books you read. You know, James always teaches you mix with the right people. You mix with people who pull you up, not negative people.
What's really interesting, when I bought into the mastermind, I knew that. And that was one of the reasons, apart from the education and things, I knew that this is a high level group. People around me that questioned it went, geez, you imagine the other stuff you could do with that. Blah,
That's
blah,
right.
Blah, blah.
That's right.
I've gone on and not only have I done 10 grand months, I've done double and almost.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
You know, but that's come from, and I'm not saying that because I know that there's people that are much better things than me, but that's come because I've had a goal and I've surrounded myself with the right people, the right thinking. James is in my back pocket helping me.
Sure.
You know.
Because you need someone to help you. I'm just about to launch a book called 10 Simple Steps to Financial Freedom. One of those is get yourself a mastermind group or a financial buddy. You need someone you can bounce things off, someone to give you a push along when you get down. I mean, we all make mistakes. We all get depressed sometimes. It's normal. And just someone to give you a help up. You need that group around you. When I don't know, a long time ago, I formed a breakfast group. About 15 people, all the top of their fields in non-competing businesses. We'd meet for breakfast once a month. And at Mingle, the top salesperson in real estate in the country, all these various people, and they shared ideas. I mean, there are people I know are spending $2,000 a month to be part of a group like that. You can just get your own group. And people love to be part of a group. I mean, that's why Rotary was formed. Rotary was formed to give businessmen a chance to talk to each other.
One of the questions that I love the most is, do you have a quote, a phrase, a saying, anything that either if you hear it or you say it to someone, it really resonates with you and you enjoy spreading that?
Well, it's the Jim Rohn quotes. I love Jim Rohn. I love his quotes. If you want to get the muscles, you've got to lift the weights. Don't ask, don't say it, don't wish it was easier, wish for more skills. You know, income seldom exceeds personal development. Because Jim Rohn was big on personal development, big on goals, you know.
You've written multiple books here. There's a stack
24, I think.
24 books?
Something like that, yes.
If someone wants to consume more of your knowledge, what is the first book they should read of yours, do you reckon, and then go into the other ones?
I've got books for all different stages. If you're 15, my new book, 10 Simple Steps to Financial Freedom. Secondly, Beginner's Guide to Wealth, I wrote with James, contains all the Think and Grow Rich principles. So Beginner's Guide to Wealth with James tells you how to be successful in simple language. And one of the big ones is the reframe. You know, don't say that was hopeless, say I've learned something. See, so many people used an excuse to criticise themselves. I stuffed it up, I'm no good. No, you stuffed it up because you hadn't learnt that shit. It doesn't say you're no good. Then Making Money Made Simple is the next one. That's the money thing. Then Retirement Made Simple is for the older people. That's for people 50. They're the fastest growing group in the country is the over 50s. And the problem with them is they don't know what they don't know. When you're in that retirement space, mistakes are always very expensive. Like if you make a bad mistake in the retirement space, we're talking $200,000 or $300,000, and you mightn't be able to get that back. If you're young, you can. And then I've got Superannuation Made Simple. Then with my business partner, Rachel Lane, we've got Aged Care Made Simple. So my life's about making it simple.
Simple.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes it easy to write a book.
I'm not sure.
Not easy. It makes it easy to come up with a book title.
I know. Well, that's my brand. It's you know, it's made simple. It doesn't say easy, and sometimes it's very hard to make things simple.
No, I think that's actually the best spot to leave it on. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's a pleasure.
I've been Tim, you've been Noel, we've been talking. Thanks for being the expert that shared your blueprint today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you.